It's funny how food can be tied to some of our best memories, isn't it, Stephen?
It sure is, Emma. Some foods are particularly potent memory triggers.
That being said, I have a curious question for our listeners to ponder. What kind of food do you associate with a memorable romantic moment or person in your life?
It's an interesting thought, isn't it? Some of you might be thinking of a fancy dinner with candle lights and wine. Others might remember a home-cooked meal.
That's right, Stephen. But have you ever thought about a simple, hearty meal like, say, a burger and fries?
Great point. A classic combo it is, but might be underestimated in the romantic memories department.
Exactly, Stephen. Can you imagine a love story starting with a burger and some fries?
Stranger things have happened, Emma, and they make for great stories.
Burgers and fries. Doesn't it sound like a match made in heaven?
I'll say, Emma. They've walked hand in hand on the gastronomic journey, striking a chord with millions of hearts and tummies worldwide.
You know, back in Seoul, they've a special spin on the classic burger.
Oh, really? What's that like?
For starters, the bread is often infused with squid ink, giving it a black color. As for fillings, aside from the classic meat patty, they sometimes include grilled kimchi or a runny egg. And don't you forget the generous drizzle of bulgogi sauce.
That sounds like a biteful. Here in the States, though, we like to keep it simple. A toasted bun, a juicy patty, some crisp lettuce, a slice of cheese, and a dollop of ketchup. Do you know, Emma, the roots of this pairing?
I can't say I do, Stephen. Enlighten me.
Well, it's quite fascinating. Burger and fries were both popularized separately in America. Burgers date back to 19th century Germany, while fries, they're a Belgian creation. But together, they emerged as a staple during the fast food boom post-World War II. Quick and easy to serve, yet a satisfying meal. And voila, a classic was born.
That is so interesting. Who knew such a simple meal carried so much history?
And it's not just history, Emma. There's an enchanting love story quietly simmering within the juicy patty and crisp fries. But more on that later.
Imagine a small hole-in-the-wall burger joint. Not a name brand, no bright neon sign, just the aroma of grilled goodness wafting through the air, inviting hungry passers-by. This is where our couple's delicious love story unfolds.
An underrated gem of the city, huh? With an enigmatic charm. How about the ambience inside?
Classical tunes lightly playing in the background, aging posters of iconic rock bands, cozy diner-style leather booths welcoming each customer. Even the staff's nostalgic uniform with bow ties and suspenders adds to the quaint vintage atmosphere.
Ah, the good old times. Makes you feel as warm and fuzzy as the burgers they serve. Speaking of which, what was the couple's memorable order?
4 words, Stephen: double cheese and bacon. Remember, this isn't your run-of-the-mill fast food burger. They come layered with delight. 2 melt-in-your-mouth beef patties, strips of smoky, crispy bacon, and oozing cheese within a lightly toasted bun. The addition of fresh lettuce, juicy tomatoes, and their secret house sauce was, dare I say, the cherry on top.
That sounds like a heart stealer right there. Some stories start with a double rainbow, others, it seems, start with a double cheese and bacon. It's funny how love works.
And let's not forget their shared side of hot, crispy French fries dusted with just the right amount of salt. Nothing fancy, but sometimes the simplest things leave the deepest imprints.
Absolutely. When our hearts are open, ordinary moments can become extraordinary memories. I can see how this unpretentious yet wholesome meal made quite an impression.
The whisper of the S in that double cheese sent a ripple between the two. A shared passion was born. They started discussing the power of a hot, juicy burger, the way the flavors melt together with each mouthful. It's quite a relatable feeling, isn't it, Stephen?
I must admit, there is something comforting about that cheese oozing out from between the patties. It feels like a hug from the inside. In fact, I remember heading to my local burger joint back in Boston. Every time I felt low, it was some sort of ritual. It regaled me with a sense that everything is going to be fine. However, I wonder how our couple transitioned this shared passion into a bond.
Right. I think it's the shared experience of relishing the same food that does the magic. For them, it wasn't just about eating burgers and fries together. The mutual love for this food extended beyond the table. They would seek out new burger joints to try, explore different toppings together, and even cook their own at home. Their first date was less of an event and more of a starting point for a delightful gastronomic adventure. Don't you find that fascinating?
Absolutely, there's something sweet about the idea of bonding over food. It's like when two hearts connect over the love for something so common, yet so distinguishing, like a good burger. It's easy to see how this led to a deeper unity between them. Exploring new joints, creating their own recipes at home, all these shared experiences probably sealed their bond. Food is not just associated with love, but it can, and in this case, did serve as a foundation for a meaningful relationship.
Memories with burgers and fries. There's something deeply nostalgic about that, don't you think, Stephen?
Hearing you speak about it, I'm instantly transported back to my favorite burger joint in New York. That charred patty, melted cheese, crispy fries, the aroma in itself was intoxicating. What about you, Emma? Do any moments of your culinary exploration take you back?
You're putting me on spot, but yes. One of my first dates with my boyfriend was at a burger place in Seoul. The taste of that kimchi burger, it's embedded in my memory. But let's get back to our couple. They, too, have unforgettable moments revolving around burgers and fries. I wonder how their shared meals and experiences help shape their relationship.
That's an interesting point. Food memories are intimately tied to our emotions, aren't they? Every time they bit into a burger, every shared packet of fries, these were milestones that fed their love over the years. Their anecdotes of simple meals elevating into unforgettable dates are heartwarming.
Their passion mirrors in how beautifully they recount these memories. It's as if they're experiencing them all over again. Imagine their first anniversary, returning to the very first burger joint they went to. The excitement while placing the same order, relishing the same burger and fries. It must have felt like reliving their first date.
Right? I particularly loved the story about their 5th anniversary when they tried to recreate their first date meal at home. The laughs over burned buns, the shared silence while they tasted their creation. It was more than just a meal. The burgers and fries had become a tribute to their journey together.
All these memories reinforce the influence food has on our lives. It's enchanting to see how their relationship bloomed around their shared love for burgers and fries. It's as if the flavors of their beloved meal have become intertwined with their love story.
They say traditions captivate hearts and tie us to our roots. Speaking of traditions, this couple had a curious one, didn't they, Emma?
Absolutely, Stephen. Visit burger joints on anniversaries might not be considered traditionally romantic, but for them, it was a delightful journey of love and taste. From that first date, they embarked on a tradition that saw them tantalize their taste buds with diverse flavors every year, in various burger joints around their city and on their travels.
Oh, wow. They must have experienced so many types of burgers and fries. I can imagine them making memories at every table, exploring diverse variations of their shared comfort food. They must have a top list of their favorite joints, don't they?
Well, their food adventure transformed into an exciting burger bucket list. They even had a personalized burger world map marked with places they had been to and destinations they wished to go. Making memories over meals became their intimate adventure, cultivated through years of shared moments and mutual interests.
How about their home city? New finds, or do they stick to their favorite spots?
While they cherished revisiting their favorite spots, they also discovered new joints and sometimes picked up tips from fellow food lovers. The excitement of exploring the uncharted territory of flavors together further enriched their bond.
It seems food journeys aren't just about the flavors, but also the companionship. Sharing similar tastes or exploring new ones could be an exciting addition to a relationship. Each bite becomes a delicious memory, each meal a tale of their love story. Truly, a journey of their own.
The beauty of their tradition, Stephen, is that it wasn't just about the food. The burger joints, the exotic flavors, their shared appetite, all of it symbolized familiarity in the new, excitement in the usual, intimacy in the shared, and love in every bite. The comforting duo of burgers and fries wasn't the highlight of the couple's story intentionally in the beginning, was it?
Not at all. It's interesting how something as simple as a meal can become such a significant part of who we are as people, of how we relate to one another. Food touches at our emotions and memories in a way that few other things can.
So true, Stephen. Drawing from my own culture, I've seen couples in Japan who revisit the restaurants they used to go on their first dates. They would order the same dishes, and it almost feels as if they're trying to rekindle the feelings associated with that time in their lives.
Here also it's common that we attach these emotions and experiences to certain foods. They become symbols, really. Symbols of love, shared experiences, nostalgia. That's the magic of comfort food. It's woven into the fabric of our lives.
I can imagine our couple biting into a burger and being reminded of that first date. With every anniversary, the taste of burger and fries probably invoked memories, reinforcing their shared past.
Exactly. Food evokes memory, and memory enhances emotion. We can see how this couple utilized their love for burgers and fries to create a series of memories that eventually became a comforting tradition. These comfort foods were not just about fulfilling their cravings, but more than that, representing the love they shared.
But Stephen, what makes one consider a food as comfort food?
Great question, Emma. From a psychological perspective, comfort food is often associated with the security of childhood, like a warm bowl of soup on a rainy day or cookies baked by your grandma. As adults, we might stick closer to foods we associate with happy experiences or love. It's not just about taste, it's about feelings. For our couple, it was the burgers and fries.
I see what started as just a simple meal evolved into their comforting duo, interlaced with emotions and shared memories, a unique love story of their own.
It's fascinating how this couple's shared love for burgers and fries is not just about the food itself. It's accessible memories, emotions, those perfect dates, all packed into a bite.
But it's not just about them, Stephen. The role of food in our lives is much larger, affecting relationships, day-to-day events, and particularly carving out memories. The taste of a specific dish can take you back to a particular moment, wrapping you in a wave of nostalgia.
Exactly, it's pretty amazing. When you bite into a burger, that taste can easily transport you back to your first date.
And Stephen, from your experience, do you have any iconic food that links to a particularly strong memory?
Well, let me think, Emma. For me, it's definitely a well-cooked steak. It reminds me of home, the family dinners we used to have. But in terms of a shared experience that strengthens a bond, it has to be my patrol partner, Rick, and I grabbing a slice of pizza during break time.
It's really how food builds relational bonds. You with Rick and his pizza, or celebrating a hard-earned victory with my volleyball mates over grilling meat. Both instances, a shared food memory emphasizes the strength of a bond.
And look at our couple, relishing in their favorite burger and fries, signaling more than just satiating hunger. It speaks comfort, a shared memory, a symbol of their unity, an emblem of their relationship.
Absolutely. The act of sharing food, enjoying it together, adds depth to a relationship. It becomes a moment that associates with the person you ate the food with. The repeated action of sharing food creates patterns. Patterns turn into traditions, and traditions reinforce bonds.
Well, yes, Emma. And when you look at it in depth, it's not just individuals, right? But societies, cultures, and communities are built around food, sharing it, savoring it. Food is this beautiful, powerful, and delicious world where love stories are written.
Stephen, wouldn't it be fun to explore how burgers and fries are interpreted around the world?
Oh, absolutely. The same dish can take many forms, adopting local flavors and ingredients.
Right. Like here in Korea, burgers often come with distinct toppings like kimchi or bulgogi. That fusion of taste is just incredible.
Wow, that sounds amazing. In New York, you'll find gourmet burger places which are all about the balance of flavors: blue cheese, avocado, caramelized onions.
I'm already drooling, Stephen. But what about fries? They're more than just a side to burgers, don't you think?
Absolutely, Emma. Fries are a world of their own. In the States, you get your classic fries, but there's also sweet potato fries, waffle fries, cheese fries, you name it.
Quite intriguing. Over here, fries are sometimes served with a cheese powder or even a sweet and spicy sauce.
Cheese powder on fries, now that's interesting. But if we talk about unique combinations, one can't miss out on the Colombian style of serving burgers.
Oh? I'm not aware of that. What's unique about it?
Well, besides the regular patty and condiments, a Colombian burger often includes a whole sausage and even a handful of crushed chips.
A sausage and chips in a burger, that's truly adventurous. I need to try that on my next trip.
Isn't it fascinating, Emma? The same basic idea turns into endless variations across the globe. It makes the world a delicious place to explore.
You know, Stephen, food isn't just about the taste. It's also a medium through which we connect with others.
I couldn't agree more, Emma. Food can become a shared language, silent yet powerful.
It commands an incredible ability to bring people together, to bridge language and cultural barriers. This theme seems to be a cornerstone in our listeners' food love stories.
Exactly. We've heard from listeners who experienced love sparked over exotic cuisines. Even language barriers didn't matter.
Interestingly, it also nurtures new relationships. Remember the story where a couple bonded over cooking classes while learning a new language?
Yes, it was amazing how their relationship blossomed through their shared passion for food and learning, both simultaneously entwined.
And let's not forget the couple who started a tradition of cooking together over video calls during their long-distance relationship.
That's a heartwarming example of how food helped them maintain their connection, even with miles between them.
Indeed. You know, I've come to realize there's deep truth in saying love goes through the stomach.
I can relate to that sentiment, Emma. The sense of comfort and connection that shared mealtimes bring, it's irreplaceable, even more so if the food invokes fond memories.
Like our couple today, connecting their love journey to their initial burger and fry date. Their shared love for those simple food items strengthened their bond.
Exactly. Food brings happiness and love, binding people closer. In some ways, we illustrate our love and care for someone when we cook for them or share a meal.
The connection between love, food, and happiness, it's stronger than one might think. It's like a 3-ingredient recipe for a successful relationship. How about we have some fun with a lighthearted quiz?
Sounds intriguing, Emma. Let's go for it. What's the question?
Here's a fun fact. The world's largest burger was made in Minnesota, weighing in at over a ton. A colossal 2,014 pounds. How many normal-sized burgers do you think this colossus was equivalent to? I'll give you 3 options. A, 8,000 burgers, B, 10,000 burgers, or C, 12,000 burgers.
Wow, that's a huge burger. I'm going with C, 12,000 burgers.
You've missed it by a whisker, Stephen. The answer is B, it equates to around 10,000 burgers. Makes you wonder how many fries would pair with that, doesn't it?
That's a mind-boggling number. We should try a fries version next time.
Indeed, that could make for another fascinating quiz. All right, listeners, we've come to the time when we want to hear from you.
That's right, folks. We would absolutely love to hear your own deliciously memorable stories at burger joints, especially if they're tied in with a special someone in your life.
And while you're at it, if you have a unique burger recipe you'd like us to know about, please share that as well. After all, the charm of our show lies as much in your stories and recipes as in ours.
Yeah, whether it's a secret ingredient in the patty or a twist in the fries. Share away because, as they say, sharing is caring. After an amusing quiz, a trip back in time to our listeners' favorite burger joints, and some mouth-watering secret burger recipes, we're at the point of today's show where we need to sit back and reflect. Emma, let's go through the key takeaways from today's episode.
Definitely, Stephen. Today, we commenced our journey with an unwavering love for the classic combo of burgers and fries. We learned about the origins and the secret behind why this pairing is a global favorite.
That's correct, Emma. And from there we traveled through time to a small and charming burger joint, the beginning of our story where a couple discovered their shared passion for burgers and fries. We shed light on how food can beautifully shape and strengthen relationships.
Yes, Stephen. It was delightful how the humble burger and fries turned into so much more for this couple. It became their comfort food, their memory maker, and even an annual tradition. They made it a unique quest, exploring a different burger joint every anniversary.
I found it fascinating how a love for the same food transformed into a shared adventure for them. And rightfully so, because relationships and food share a unique warmth, a sense of comfort that's almost universal. Imagine all those listeners who are now reminiscing about their own food-linked memories.
Absolutely, Stephen, and I'm sure the listeners enjoyed exploring unique burger and fries variations from around the world with us. After all, love has no boundaries, and food even less so. It's a universal language that speaks to the soul.
Indeed, Emma. And let's not forget our discussion about the impact of food on crafting memorable moments, and how it helps bond relationships. Whether it's your grandmother's secret stew or a shared love for burgers and fries, Food has a way of becoming a guiding force.
Looking forward, Stephen, we have a delightful dish lined up for our next episode, and I'm really excited. I am familiar with it from my time here in Korea. It's bibimbap and soju.
Bibimbap and soju. That certainly sounds exotic, and a bit challenging for me since, if I'm honest, I can't quite picture what that'd be like. Can you enlighten me a bit about this pairing?
Absolutely. Bibimbap is a beautiful Korean dish made with various vegetables, a little meat, an egg, and rice, all mixed together. It represents harmony and balance, much like a well-matched relationship. Soju, on the other hand, is a Korean distilled spirit that's both mild and smooth.
Wow, it sounds like a mix of different ingredients, but still forms a symphony of flavors in your mouth. Just like a successful love relationship, where all hold unique personalities but come together to form something special. It definitely gets my taste buds curious. What about the love story?
We have an incredible cross-continental love story, a tale of an American solitaire and a Korean chef who found love in the midst of bustling Seoul City. Their love story is as heartwarming and layered as bibimbap itself. It's a story you wouldn't want to miss.
It sends my imagination wild. Korea, an American soldier, a sensational love story. Every little ingredient seems perfect for a love saga to remember. And I'm thrilled to know more about the Korean culture and their fascinating dishes. Can't wait for the next episode, Emma.
Neither can I, Stephen. Listeners, get ready to travel with our taste buds and hearts, diving into beautiful tales of love and cuisine that transcend borders. Till then, keep eating, keep loving. See you next week. Stephen, after visiting all these flavors and travels through the burgers and fries narrative of the lovely couple, don't you think it's fascinating how food could form such an integral block in relationships?
Absolutely, Emma. Food in its own way acts as a common language, fostering connections beyond words. I believe it's not just about indulging in the same flavors, but the process and the stories that build upon each bite. It's these shared experiences over food that often bind couples.
You're so right, and I love how you brought up the processes and stories. It reminds me of the couple's tradition of burger joint hopping. It was a simple act, yet it had such an emotional impact because it was specific to them. In essence, they made it their own. Could this be something of advice we can offer to our listeners? To create their own food traditions?
Exactly, Emma. I couldn't agree more. Every relationship has its unique rhythm, and food can be a beautiful way to capture that and create lasting memories. I remember a patrol buddy of mine who would make his wife breakfast in bed on their days off, an omelette and a cup of coffee. That was their thing, their tradition. It's not about the fanciest of meals, but the connection it helps forge.
I can't help but adore that. It's a beautiful blend of small gestures and food that becomes the tradition, the story, the memory. It's the unwinding together over a shared meal, trying new food places, or recreating your first pizza date at home. These mini adventures, the stories, the laughter over dessert, everything weaves the fabric of love stronger.
You painted a lovely picture there, Emma. That's exactly it. And let's remember it's okay to experiment and find what suits you as a couple. It might be burger joint hopping, or it might be Sunday morning pancakes. The most important thing is the we in all of it.
So, we've heard how this lovely couple bonded over burgers and fries, right? How about we bring that culinary experience home? I believe you have a homemade recipe to share, Stephen?
That I do. What's better than indulging in a comfort food prepared by yourself, right? Here's a simple homemade burger and fries recipe. The beauty of homemade meals is that you can always add your personal touch. For burgers, it's mostly about getting the patty right. My recommendation is to stick with a mix of about 80% beef and 20% fat, which gives great flavor. For seasoning, stick with kosher salt and freshly ground pepper. And remember to form your patties wider than the buns because meat shrinks as it cooks.
That's quite a detailed burger guide. But let's not forget about the sidekick here, fries. How about those?
Where would a good burger be without its trusty companion? For fries, remember to pick the right potato. Russet potatoes work best. Cut them in the right size. Too big, and they won't cook evenly. Too small, and they might burn. They should be all around the same size for even cooking. Soak them in water for an hour, then dry them. This removes the excess starch, resulting in crispier fries. Deep fry them twice for the perfect crunch.
Thanks for sharing that, Stephen. Adding our personal touch to food and maybe even evolving it over time can be a fun and insightful exercise. Just like the couple we highlighted, food is more than just nourishment. Sometimes it is the love language that binds us together, and what better way to experience that with the very comfort food we talked about today? Homemade burger and fries.